Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because today's entertainment world is buzzing with one of the most explosive TV moments in recent memory. Picture this: the lively set of ITV's Loose Women, where the panel of outspoken women dives into everything from celebrity gossip to hot-button issues, welcoming none other than Hollywood heavyweight Gary Oldman. The Oscar-winning actor, known for his intense portrayals in films like Darkest Hour and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, was there to promote his latest project, a gritty drama about political intrigue. The audience was electric, expecting charming anecdotes from the silver screen legend. But as the cameras rolled, what started as a casual chat veered into uncharted territory. Among the panel sat the fiery Denise Welch, the Geordie powerhouse famous for her no-holds-barred opinions on everything from mental health to royal scandals. Little did anyone know, this pairing would ignite a firestorm that would leave jaws on the floor and headlines screaming across the globe. As the theme music faded and host Christine Lampard introduced Gary with her signature warmth, the stage was set for what would become Loose Women's most infamous clash. Gary, with his signature gravelly voice and piercing gaze, settled into the iconic red chairs, flashing a wry smile that hinted at the depth beneath his calm exterior. The women cooed over his latest role, praising his chameleon-like ability to disappear into characters. But Denise, ever the provocateur, leaned forward with a glint in her eye, ready to steer the conversation into deeper waters. It was meant to be a light-hearted probe into Gary's views on fame's toll, drawing from his own admissions of personal struggles with alcohol and the pressures of stardom. Yet, as Gary began to open up, sharing raw insights on the isolation of success, Denise's response wasn't empathy, it was a challenge. "Darling," she quipped, her northern accent cutting through like a knife, "you've got the world at your feet, but let's be real, have you ever truly walked in the shoes of the everyday woman fighting for her voice?" The studio fell into a hush, the other panelists exchanging glances, sensing the shift from fluff to friction. Gary's brow furrowed, his polite nod giving way to a steely resolve. What followed was no mere debate, it was a verbal joust that exposed the raw underbelly of celebrity versus authenticity, leaving viewers glued to their screens and social media ablaze. Let me count as I go. 1. Welcome to the dramatic world of daytime TV gone wild. On a recent episode of Loose Women, the air crackled with anticipation as Gary Oldman, the brooding genius behind iconic roles in films like The Dark Knight and Mank, graced the panel. The show, a staple of British telly since 1999, thrives on candid chats, but this day promised extra sparkle with the acclaimed actor promoting his new thriller. Host Kay Adams beamed, introducing him alongside regulars including the bold Denise Welch, whose unfiltered takes on life have made her a fan favorite and occasional lightning rod. Gary settled in, his salt and pepper beard framing a face etched with decades of dramatic intensity. The conversation kicked off smoothly, with laughter echoing as he recounted quirky set stories from his days with Nolan. But beneath the bonhomie lurked tension. Denise, fresh from her own headline-grabbing rants on politics and patriarchy, eyed Gary with a mix of admiration and mischief. As talk turned to Hollywood's treatment of aging stars, she lobbed the first grenade. "Gary, love, you've nailed villains and heroes alike, but tell USA, does the industry chew up women like me faster than men like you?" The audience tittered, expecting a diplomatic dodge. Instead, Gary's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to that signature rumble. "Denise, with respect, I've clawed my way through hells you couldn't imagine, divorces, demons, the bottle. Don't presume to school me on struggle." The studio gasped. What began as banter had ignited, pulling back the curtain on egos clashing in real time. Panelists shifted uncomfortably as the exchange heated, microphones picking up every barbed word. Social media lit up instantly, with #Gary vs Denise trending before the ad break. This wasn't just TV, it was theater, raw and riveting, exposing the fault lines between fame's facade and the fight for authenticity. As the cameras zoomed in, capturing Gary's clenched jaw and Denise's defiant tilt of the chin, viewers worldwide tuned in, hungry for the fallout. Little did they know, the real fireworks were just beginning, turning a routine slot into a cultural moment that would echo for weeks. Diving deeper into the fray, the panel's dynamic shifted like tectonic plates. Christine Lampard, ever the peacemaker, tried to steer back to safer shores, asking about Gary's craft. But Denise wasn't done. "Oh, come on," she pressed, her voice rising with that trademark passion. "You're Sir Gary now, knighted and all, but back in the day, you were the angry young man raging against the machine. Where's that fire for the fights we women wage daily?" Gary leaned forward, his fingers drumming the armrest, a storm brewing in his gaze. "Fire? I've burned myself to ash for art, for truth. You talk of women's battles, I respect them. But don't weaponize them to diminish a man's scars." The words hung heavy, the audience murmuring in waves. Co-panelist Nadia Sawalha interjected softly, "Let's hear both sides." But it was futile. The die was cast. Denise's cheeks flushed, her history of advocating for mental health advocacy fueling her retort. "Diminish? I'm elevating the conversation, Gary. You've got Oscars, I've got the grit of surviving tabloid hell while raising kids and battling bipolar. That's my fire." Gasps rippled through the studio, phones buzzing as clips leaked online. Gary, no stranger to controversy from his infamous 2014 Playboy interview on Mel Gibson to his Churchill transformation, didn't back down. "Grit? Admirable, truly, but this isn't a competition, it's loose women, not a confessional cage match." Laughter tried to break the ice, but it melted fast. The host called for commercial, but not before the damage was done. Viewers at home felt the pulse quicken, divided between Team Oldman's eloquence and Team Welch's raw vulnerability. Hashtags exploded. #loose women drama. #Gary Oldman rant. Behind the scenes, producers whispered frantically, Wayne cuts versus the gold of unscripted gold. This exchange wasn't just spicy, it was seismic, challenging the very ethos of the show, empowerment through unvarnished truth. As the break ended, all eyes locked on the duo, the air thick with unresolved electricity, promising more than mere talk. Returning from the break, the tension was palpable, like a bowstring pulled taut. Kay Adams, sensing the powder keg, pivoted to lighter fare, Gary's love for British pubs and his hidden talent for karaoke. Chuckles ensued, a brief reprieve, but Denise's eyes still smoldered. Then, like a match to dry tinder, the topic looped back to gender dynamics in entertainment. "Gary," she said, voice steady but laced with steel, "you've played complex mean abusers, addicts. Ever think how those roles perpetuate the very inequalities we decry?" The actor paused, choosing words like a sniper's aim. "Perpetuate. Art holds a mirror, Denise. It doesn't create the monster, it reflects society's sins." "Blame the writer, the director, not the vessel." Murmur swelled. The crowd was hooked. Denise fired back, "Mirror, more like a funhouse one, distorting women's pain for male acclaim." Her words, born from years of soap opera battles and public scrutiny, cut deep. Gary's face hardened, veins pulsing at his temple. "Distorting? I've poured my soul into those parts to humanize the inhuman. Your soap world glorifies drama too. Don't lecture from glass towers." The panel erupted in crosstalk, voices overlapping in a cacophony of support and rebuttal. Sunita Manani tried mediating, "We're all passionate here," but it drowned in the din. Off camera, the floor director signaled wildly, producers in earpieces urging calm. Yet, the stars collided unchecked, Gary gesturing emphatically, Denise unyielding. Clips hit Twitter like shrapnel, fans dissecting every syllable. Oldman's dropping truth bombs. Cheered one. "Welch's queen of clapback," roared another. This wasn't dialogue, it was duel, each thrust revealing layers of Gary's guarded intellect clashing with Denise's visceral candor. The show's spirit, meant for sisterly solidarity, bent under the weight of masculine-feminine crossfire. As minutes ticked, the exchange morphed from pointed to personal, jabs landing on insecurities long buried. Viewers leaned in, breaths held, wondering if harmony or havoc would prevail. In that charged studio, boundaries blurred, turning entertainment into existential expose. Copyright. The blaze now fully kindled, words flew like sparks from flint. Denise, undeterred, leaned in closer, her bangles clinking like warning bells. "Personal? You bring up my breakdowns, Gary. Finally, I've owned mine publicly, helped thousands. What's your excuse for silence on #Me Too when you could have roared?" The accusation landed like a gut punch. Gary's color drained, then surged. "Silence? I support survivors from afar, Yes, because trauma isn't a prop for prime time. You parade pain for applause I process privately. Outrage rippled outward, the audience splitting into factions. Applause sporadic and sharp. Panelist Colleen Nolan jumped in. Lads, this is getting too real. But her plea vanished in the vortex. Gary, drawing on his method acting mastery, modulated his tone to thunderous calm. Applause. I've lost friends, roles, respect for speaking truth. Your roar is selective via fierce for cameras, faint for complexities. Denise's laugh was bitter, echoing her Corey days of defiance. Complexities? Code for complicity. Men like you thrive while we scrape. The studio lights seemed hotter, sweat beading on brows as the host mopped futilely. Social feeds overflowed, memes of Gary's scowl, gifs of Denise's glare. ITV switchboards jammed with calls half decrying the discord, half demanding more. This fiery tango exposed the chasm, celebrity as shield versus vulnerability as sword. Gary, the chameleon's edge sharpening, countered with a parable from his youth, bar fights in South London forging his resilience. Denise parried with tales of postnatal despair, tabloid trolls tearing at her seams. No quarter given, each anecdote an ammunition in the arsenal of authenticity. The other women, sidelined spectators, nodded or winced, the show's estrogen equilibrium upended by this testosterone tempest. As decibels climbed, so did Steakhouse reputations on the line, alliances fracturing in real time. Whispers of intervention grew louder backstage, but the duel danced on, mesmerizing in its mayhem. In this cauldron of confession, loose women transcended talk, becoming tribunal for thespian truths long unsaid. Climax crested as tempers boiled over the brim. Gary, voice cracking with rare emotion, slammed his palm on the table, a thunderclap in the hush. Enough. Your barbs belie a bitterness that blinds you to brotherhood and battle. I'm done performing for judgment. Chairs scraped as he rose, midcord trailing like a leash snapped. Denise, stunned but steadfast, shot back. Run then, Sierra, flee the forum you fear. Chaos cascaded, gasps, flashes from audience phones, hosts frantic. Gary, please. But he strode off, shoulders squared, disappearing through the wings amid a storm of applause and boos. The panel frows, Kay Adams ad-libbing platitudes about passion's perils. Denise sat back, chest heaving, a victor's gleam warring with regret's shadow. Cut to black for ads, but the internet ignited eternal live streams capturing the exodus. Pundits piling on. Kicked off, he walked with dignity, defended fans' Welch witch hunt. Cried detractors. Producers scrambled, issuing statements of spirited debate, but damage dance done. Gary's team confirmed his early exit, citing scheduling conflicts, a velvet glove over iron fist. Denise, post-show, tweeted defiance, truth hurts us, stay brave, sisters. The episode, uneasily edited, aired with warnings, ratings rocketing to record realms. Backlash brewed, petitions for apologies, think pieces on toxic talk shows. Yet, amid melee, magic emerged, a raw humanity riveting millions, blurring lines between guest and gladiator. Gary, holed up in his London lair, later reflected in a terse email to maids, words wound deeper than scripts. Denise, nursing AGT, confessed to mates the thrill and chill of the clash. Loose women's legacy, built on bold banter, now bore this bruisey a badge of boundary pushing. As clips